You know, as I've gotten older, I find that I view the game less as a fan and more like a general manager or a coach. I think this is probably because I play hockey less and less, and I spend more time managing fantasy hockey teams and teaching my kids how to skate and shoot. So I find myself more and more fascinated with the off-ice side of the game. And in watching the Oilers early in this season, it's become apparent to me that there's a bit of a disconnect between Peter Chiarelli and Todd McLellan.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Philosophically, I think these guys started out on the same page. Chiarelli came in and immediately identified what all of us fans already knew. The Oilers were a mentally and physically weak hockey team. They needed stronger leaders, and they needed stronger players. So he went out and got Maroon, Lucic, Cassian, Larson, and Greiba in order to address this. McLellan arrived and identified, again, what we already knew: the Oilers needed to play with more structure. And since Chiarelli had already gone out and gotten bigger and stronger players, he implemented a system that fit these players. A meat and potatoes style of hockey. Get the puck in deep, recover it, and grind the other team down. However, last season, the Pacific Division caught up to the rest of the NHL and shifted to a speed-focused game. Now, Chiarelli, contrary to popular opinion, has worked to address this. In the summer of 2017, he drafted the small but speedy Kailer Yamamoto, and last summer he drafted Mr. Afterburners Ryan McLeod and signed Tobias Reeder. The problem is that McLellan still has the Oilers playing the same old style of hockey. When you have skilled guys like McDavid, Nugent-Hopkins, Draisaitl, Puljujarvi, and Yamamoto playing in your top six, you need to take advantage of that and gain the zone with possession, not just dump the puck into the corner.
That's the smartest thing I've ever heard anyone say about anything.
Another area where these two are not on the same page at all is their timetable for success. This past summer, Chiarelli was far from aggressive. I think this mainly had to do with the fact that he's handcuffed himself by overpaying most of the players on the roster. But I think he also stood pat because he recognizes that the Oilers are finally getting to the place where they can address needs internally through better drafting and development. To my knowledge, this is his fourth year of a 5-year plan to bring a Stanley Cup to Edmonton. So I'm betting he's waiting to cash in his chips until next year, and at that point, he will go all in. McLellan, on the other hand, is on the hot seat, which is a slang term for the electric chair, just in case you didn't know. He is coaching to win right now, because if he doesn't, he's going to get fired. A perfect example of this disconnect was highlighted on Saturday night. Oscar Klefbom played over half the game against the Predators because Todd knows he can't put Jason Garrison out there if his team is going to have a chance to win a game like that. He is in this position because Chiarelli, for the second year in a row, never filled the void left by the Andre Sekera injury. Connor McDavid and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins are number 1 and 2 in ice time per game amongst forwards, which again is McLellan doing what he can with what he has. It just magnifies Chiarelli's inactivity this summer, specifically that he didn't provide the coach with enough proven depth. McLellan has also finally dropped Milan Lucic to a third-line role, which, by the way, he seems to be far more effective in. But the issue here is that it makes Chiarelli look stupid because he went out and spent a ton of money in term on a guy who is now in the bottom 6. I credit McLellan for doing this because it's the right thing to do, and it improves the team's chances of winning. But it further strains the relationship between the coach and the general manager. And finally, the Oilers are the only team other than the Devils who have yet to play their backup goaltender. This makes the ridiculously pricey and unnecessary contract Chiarelli gave to Koskinen look even worse because, again, Todd doesn't have faith that a player that Chiarelli gave boatloads of cash to can help the team win. It's kind of difficult to see how these two can coexist long term because they're both kind of in a catch-22 situation. If Chiarelli makes a deal to immediately upgrade the defense, it's the team's future that will pay the price. And his employment is directly tied to that. If McClellan doesn't play Clefbaum 30 minutes and Connor Nuge 23 plus, the team probably loses more than it wins, and he'd be looking for a new job. Oh well. Hopefully they beat the Penguins tonight.